The Mint 400 has came and gone. We took this little slug shark here to the finish line, and we ended up placing second out of 11 cars.
The Mint 400, the gnarliest, roughest, sketchiest, most adrenaline-packed race in the United States. Finish or bust, baby.
Everybody says this is the toughest race of the year. So it will be really cool to see Blake in the 11 car, us in the 1450 truck, Nick in the 6100 truck, and then Justin racing his motorcycle.
It's definitely a first for Chris to be racing in the 1450 class with his F100. Nick's going to be racing the 6100 Spec TT class with his F150. Steel cab, the most unique vehicle in the field. I got the Slug Shark that I've just hammered on, and got that class 11, which is a limited VW class.
We are in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada for the 2020 Mint 400. I don't know who led us on race courses, but see how it goes.
It was pretty epic, to say the least. We're gonna have a full race recap video that's gonna be on a much bigger scale than what these YouTube edits are. So that'll come in the near future. However, we're still working on that. With that being said, I'm gonna go over with you guys on some prep and some maintenance that I'm gonna be doing to it, and share kind of a little bit of backstory with it. Testing with the Slettons was rad, super fun, very surprising what this vehicle is capable of. I had one flat that I deserved when I hit a giant rock. I'll show you that wheel in a little bit. Check out this skid plate. The skid plate shows a lot of what the race was like for me. Like, that thing is bent way up, and you can see actually where it was hitting on the bottom of the motor. So thankfully, one really big one didn't take us out, because yeah, at first every time I'd hit that skid plate I was like, ooh, ooh, like that's not good. And then it just became like a regular thing, and I was like, I guess this is part of the class 11. This is part of what class 11 is, especially at the Mint on a super rough course. So I'll show you guys. I have the transmission out, CVs are out, and I took the seats out. I took the Pilotech fuel cell out. Motors out, as you can see. We're gonna do a full oil change, air filter. I pulled the tranny fluid. The magnet looked great. You can see there's a Pilotech fuel cell. Clean that girl up, get that thing dialed. I'll go over with you guys my little to-do list and my checklist of everything that I'm going to personally do on her, or that I've already done. So check it out. I'm gonna obviously install the transmission back in, since I've already changed the gear oil. I'm gonna pack the CVs. I checked all my hardware. All my hardware looks good. The threads all look good. They came out still torqued. Everything was tight, but I'm going to still pack them and also clean all the surface areas. It's something you want to make sure you do, is clean all your hardware and all your surface areas. You can see this one, I already cleaned it here. And then on the bell housing, that's clean. And then on the sub axle on the outside, you want to make sure that all that stuff's clean, because the grease will create a barrier in between there. And then when it gets hot and works its way out, all of a sudden there's a little bit of tolerance that's missing. So I'm gonna snug the front end up. I'm gonna check my leaf packs in the front. I'm going to check all my ball joints. I'm going to torque everything and sign all that off. I'm going to spin my front brakes. I'm going to check my front brakes. I'm going to check my reservoir hoses. I also pulled my King shocks out. I already revalved those, so I can't give you my valving, unfortunately. We're going to change up the rear exhaust to where my skid plate doesn't look like that, and it shortens it up to where hopefully the back of the skid plate now will kind of end right about here versus all this tail. So Before, this was kind of to protect the back of the exhaust, but if I bring the exhaust up higher, it'll make it to where I'm not going to drag on the back of the car that much. The front bumper and the front skid plate ain't too bad. I'll take that all day. Like, look at that thing. That looks prime time. Inside of the front of the, oh yeah, that's on. Yeah, I plugged her in, checked a couple things. All my electrical, flawless. Cowboy, great job on all that. But I'm going to be checking everything on the steering. I'm also going to check my steering box and tighten this if need be, if I can feel any extra play. All my brake lines look great. There was no weeping of any of the brake lines. This car, when it's done right, is really easy to prep. If you don't go out there and just totally destroy it, I mean, that's very easy to do. I had several close calls, and yeah, me and Cowboy for the first lap had a handful of them, and then me and Joe on the second lap didn't have too many, but first lap was definitely pretty extensive. Let's see, all my pedal assembly, I'm going to check my pedal assembly for swap and torque, all that good stuff. My front reservoir hoses, because of the fact that they're coming through some holes inside the cab, those Kings. And then also right here and right here, where I put a couple different protective layers of different stuff. I can feel a little wear here, so I'll probably just end up cutting those and rotating those hoses. I'm gonna check my front cam system to where this basically acts as a bump, and then this is your droop. So when you droop out, this bumps out, and when you bump the suspension, you compress the suspension, this will engage here, creating your limitations to work with your shock package. That's set up strategically for the Kings. I do have to build a new rear subframe as well. See that banana? And that's the mid tube. Yeah, that used to be straight. Not anymore. So when I set this down on the ground, yeah, that's pretty bad. So gonna rebuild a entire new back engine cage and skid plate setup. Let's see, what else do I got to do on this thing? Obviously, I'm gonna check all the tire pressures, make sure those are all good. I believe they were. I'm gonna shim the pitman arm if there is a little bit of the play in the steering box. I gotta charge my shocks after I install those in, put my seats, my firewall. My steering wheel wasn't perfectly centered. I thought I had it perfectly centered, so I gotta clock that a tiny bit. I'm gonna see where I'm at on my torsion bars, on how many turns I have in them. You only want to go a certain distance in on your turns with your torsions, because if you go too far, your torsion lever will become kind of elevated and it'll dig in, and then it'll slowly gradually come back down. So if you go too high and that Allen underneath on the King Kong adjuster goes too high up, it'll just kind of bury into those adjusters. So with that being said, the inner splines are a finer spline, so I might clock that one more spline depending on where I'm at. I think I should be good there. And yeah, so the Slettons, Richard has my motor. We're gonna try the new MP carburetor on this motor. We're gonna tune it for the new MP carburetor and get that back in there. So yeah, it's not too bad, you know. Clean the air filter, pull that girl out, clean the air filter out, Recheck my shift linkage. I'm pretty sure all that stuff's tight. This car ended the race, I feel like, ready to do another 200 plus miles all day. It was surprising. The car worked great. She finished strong. We did what we needed to do. We finished second. Shout out to the dude that won. I think his name was Hector. Yeah, he did a great job. They were hauling ass. He probably didn't have any issues. I did hit a rock once right here, and it pushed this and it bent this into the tire, and it was rubbing on the tire. So with that being said, when it was rubbing on the tire, I essentially thought I had a flat on this side because of the noise that it was making, or I bent a wheel because of the noise, but it wasn't. It was actually just the fender that we had to get out and pull the fender out, and that was all gravy, baby, thankfully, because I was a little bit concerned about that at first. That was going to be some valuable time, and that's one thing that happens these things is they taco wheels relatively easy because they are factory wheels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys actually what the wheel looks like, because this is something that's yeah, it got destroyed. Let me find this girl. Oh, there she is. Come here, girl. Check that out. That was probably the initial hit. It bent it all the way back down onto the wheel. I know that this thing, I'm pretty sure I know where this happened, and where it happened, I think that it was in a really washy, rocky spot. And with that being said, I felt it, and then I think I kept driving on it because it didn't feel flat, and the tire balls did their job. But I think as I continued to charge through this wash, after I wasn't sure if it was flat or not, the tire balls I think did their job up until probably the next rock that I hit, because there's a couple good dingers on this thing. All in all, I was happy with the tire balls. I think that was a great call for us to throw on there. But I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. The moral of this video was to show that prepping these class 11 cars isn't that extensive, especially right off the bat and the get-go. After building a solid car, minimal prep is probably obviously is going to be essential to do, just to check over everything, but it's not super expensive, and it's not like any other race vehicle. So if you're looking to get into racing, parts from MP are super cheap, and they withstood all the abuse that I could throw on them. CVs, axles, ball joints, tie rods, you name it. There's so many MP parts on that car, on the motor, on the transmission, on the drivetrain, on the pedal assembly, the brakes. It's amazing how easy that everything can be at the tip of your fingers. So with that being said, the Mint 400 was a blast. Hanging out at Tech and Contingency, the full throttle battery literally had all the rigid lights just cranking for a full day on Fremont Street. And as we rolled through Tech, shout out to that battery for being strong and not letting us down when it came race day, after putting her through a bunch of abuse a couple days prior. The rigid lights guided us through the night. They lit the night up and made it easy to see, with I think our top speed being roughly around 69 miles an hour. Yeah, it was cool. There's some badass pictures of the whole thing. That full recap will be on hopefully a much bigger platform that Bam Bam's going to be working on. The Heatwave boys, they came out with a really rad edit that's on my IGTV as well. I'll probably throw that up after this, and you guys can check that out. Overall, hope everyone enjoyed the build. We're getting ready to gear up for the next race, and I am excited to climb back in the driver's seat and push this Class 11 even harder than ever before, knowing what she's capable of and making the adjustments and prepping her, and that's about it. Hope everyone has a good day and everyone's staying safe with all this other stuff going on. Just do your best, and whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and it is what it is. So don't fight it, adapt, and appreciate you guys again for watching. If you guys need any Shreddy Life gear, check it out on shreddylife.com and use Wilkie as a promo code. It'll save you some cash in these hard times, and just, yeah, keep it real.
We're on Fremont Street. We got the heat wave booth set up. We're at sign-ups and tech, and we're gonna push our bikes through here in a little bit and see if we pass tech.
Game plan really for the F100 is we want to go out and just finish. You know, we're going to use this truck more as just a pre-runner for the Saturday's race, because we race Friday in the F100. So we want to use this as a chance to go out and see the course at race speed. That way we can take information and take notes and everything like that, and put that into the 6100 truck, and really go out and try and perform well.
We are suited and booted, ready for the Mint 400.